So, The Legend of Zelda Game & Watch released last year, little late. They announced it at E3 and I wanted it. I talked about it in my E3 review video, but I picked one up and I just wanted to share my thoughts about it. My main question is, who is this for? And is this a good way to play The Legend of Zelda? So real quick, I'm going to let you know about the features of the Zelda Game & Watch, my thoughts on whether or not it's a good way to play, including a rudimentary input lag test when compared to other popular options. My experience using it is kind of a desk clock at work, who I think it's ultimately for, whether or not I think a first-time Legend of Zelda player should pick one up, and then lastly, maybe a little giveaway at the end. So the Zelda Game & Watch features 4 different games. The original Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, Link's Awakening, the original Game Boy version, which I think is actually a really cool choice rather than the DX version, and then Vermin, but skinned with Link instead of whatever it had in the first place. The 2 NES games feature their Famicom Disk System counterparts, and this is really cool as it's a good way to play these games and experience the alternate soundtrack if you haven't done that before. There is another way to do this though if you're a Switch owner, by just making a Japanese profile and downloading the NES app off of the eShop. But it's cool to have something kind of contained in its own that has accurate Famicom Disk System audio, which is kind of hard to reproduce. There are even issues reproducing it on my Ultra HDMI modded AV Famicom. The clock is nice. There's a clock setting, and if you turn it on, it'll go to sleep automatically after 3 minutes unless you turn it off. I kind of wanted to just leave it on all the time, but since it is an LCD screen and it is battery powered, and it's not a very big battery, it's actually a Joy-Con battery. It lasted most of a workday and then just kind of died, and I was like, oh, I guess I have to also plug this in if I'm going to use it. I can't imagine ever really using the timer function on this, seriously, but I did use it several times just to play the mini game where you're defeating enemies, and it's nice because one of the most satisfying movements is Link's downward thrust, and you get to just experiment with that for as long as you set the timer. There are a few secrets to this. There is an illuminated Triforce on the back that you can see pretty clearly if you're looking for it, but it's kind of hard to get on camera unless you're kind of in the dark. If you hold down A, you can actually play whatever screen is on the clock screen at that time. And then if your system is left on in a game, it will eventually go to sleep. And when it does, right before it does that, depending on what game you have on, it'll show you one of, I think, 6 hidden screens. I haven't seen all the hidden screens myself because it shows you the hidden screen and then it's artwork and it just kind of goes away immediately and goes to sleep. And it just doesn't feel worth sitting around for, to be honest. It's cool that it's there though. I like knowing that it's there. And then the packaging is just fantastic. It comes with a charging cable and it comes with kind of a rudimentary stand. I would actually recommend this stand that I picked up from Rose Colored Gaming. It says Game & Watch on it. They do have a more specifically Zelda one, but it's a little bit gaudy for me. And so I like just the clear acrylic. And it's also just kind of cool. This slides off and you actually see the vermin. And it's just a nice box. The materials I should also mention on the console itself. It has a nice, I'm guessing, aluminum colored on the front that feels cool to the touch, which I like. The buttons are rubberized and I think that they actually feel really good to press. And then the D-pad is one of the kind of D-pads where you can depress it all the way. You can depress the center of the D-pad quite generously, but it's not as bad as like the Nintendo Switch Pro controller. Because of the size of the D-pad being very small, I actually found this quite comfortable to play a game like Zelda on. For Tetris, it would be absolutely unacceptable. But for this action adventure game, it's actually pretty good. And I like that there's a good travel distance on the red buttons, and it kind of complements that feeling of thrusting your sword, since you're always thrusting, never slashing in the first Zelda game. So is it a good way to play? I think it's an acceptable way to play the first Legend of Zelda game if you have already played it once and you know what you're getting into. If you can navigate your way around and get the white sword and get yourself that blue ring, I think that you're not going to have a problem beating this game, and it's actually going to be an enjoyable experience. If you've never played the first Legend of Zelda before though, I'm not sure that it's the best move to beat it on this first. But actually, when compared to other common options, it's really not bad. If the tiny screen doesn't bother you and only you can know what screen size you're comfortable operating with, then when I was doing my rudimentary input lag test, it actually seemed to be just a bit faster than the 3DS or Switch emulation. I'll show you a little footage from that, and the general numbers that I gathered were, this was using 120 frames per second on my camera, and it's not perfect because I can't ever know exactly when it's fully depressed. I tried. And through a bunch of examples, it ended up averaging out to about 9 frames for the 3DS port, around 8 frames for the Nintendo Switch OLED version, and it seemed to be around 7 to 8 frames for the Zelda Game & Watch. And then for my actual AV Famicom plugged in through HDMI to my monitor, it was anywhere from 3 to 5, and it felt, honest to God, like the AV Famicom high-def NES mod is like magic. And the D-pad too. If you're looking for the best way to play Legend of Zelda, the D-pad on the Dogbone NES controller is unbeatable. It's nice. It's bigger than the original NES one. It feels good to rock. It's accurate when going up, down, left, right. The buttons are on a raised bump and it's easier to press. This is how I experienced Legend of Zelda full on for the first time. This is how I first beat it. And honestly, nothing comes close. Nothing comes close. This is still pretty cool though. So who do I think this is for? I think this is for a Zelda fan. I want to stress that if you have never played The Legend of Zelda before and you're trying it out on this for the first time, I don't think it's fair to judge this game based on the tiny screen. Another thing about the screen itself is they really meant for this to be a way to play the game more so than being a clock. And the way that I know that is because if you're putting this down, the viewing angle strongly favors looking at it from below, dead on, or below. It becomes almost a negative of the screen from above, and then the viewing angles from the side are generally really good. So it's clear to me they wanted you to play this more than they wanted it to be sitting on a desk for you to look at. And the thing is, if it is sitting on a desk, it's probably going to be turned off most of the time, and you might just plop it on when you want to see some cozy Zelda footage. I also think this is for anyone who just likes handhelds and retro handhelds and just nicely made hardware. I really like the way that it feels in your hands, and it just has this quality vibe all around. The internals, even in the teardown video I saw, seemed really nicely laid out. The illuminated Triforce on the back really also helps take it to the next level. So if you stuck around this far, congratulations, because I'm giving one of these away. I purchased one on my own, and then I received one from my parents for Christmas, and I didn't tell them that I already had one. And I don't know. It's a new year and I kind of want to spread that late holiday cheer. And so I'll be giving this away unopened. So here's how to enter. You do not have to be subscribed. You do not have to like the video. I would like it if you did those things, but you definitely never have to do that. All you need to do is comment any variation of a comment that includes, well, excuse me, or well, excuse me, princess, or excuse me. If you have those things, I'll take that as you're entering, but don't say I'm entering. Just don't say I'm entering or something like that. I may still include those because I'm sure some people won't follow the directions, but I don't know, whatever. And also, if you'd like, you can check out my review of The Legend of Zelda as a video game separate from the experience of playing it on the Zelda Game & Watch. That is a really long, in-depth video that also kind of goes into how I think you can best appreciate older games today. So thanks for watching. What's that? You're still here? Curious. When I was thinking about making this video, kind of at the last minute, I realized I already have the best way to play this game. I own the physical game itself. I can play it on my 3DS, which I have it on. I can play it on my Switch, and I really don't have a need for this or the stand. So I'm actually going to be giving away two Zelda Game & Watches. So here's how you enter if you're interested in winning the used Zelda Game & Watch right here, the one you see here. In addition to the stand, I feel like throwing in the stand with the used one kind of compensates for the fact that it has not been opened yet, or it has been opened already. Anyway, I'm going to be posting a poll, and in that poll, I'm going to ask what your favorite 2D Zelda is, and you can find it on the community tab. If this video is uploaded, I will have already posted the poll. So all you need to do is vote on that poll and then comment why it's your favorite. And anyone who has commented why it's their favorite will be entered to win the used copy. But again, don't say I'm entering. Don't say it. Just don't do it. If you're wondering, some other good videos you can check out on my channel would probably be my Adventure Island video or my Metroid video. I'm really proud of my Castlevania video. I'd love it if you'd check those out if you haven't already. But it's cool. You don't have to. You only have, you know, if you're interested, I like that, but you definitely don't have to be to enter. I'm going to update the winners in a community post and also in a pinned comment that I will pin to this video. Let's say 8 days after posting. You have 1 week to enter, and at the end of those 7 days, I'll collect all of the entrants, I'll put them into a list, and I'll run a Python script to rip out them winners. Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. Hope everything's going good. And yeah, I hope that some people can get some genuine fun and enjoyment out of these Game & Watches. Peace.